Everyone who knew Emma believed she was living a dream life. She was 30 years old, confident, graceful, and wealthy. She came from a powerful family that owned large properties, businesses, and land. People respected her name. Wherever she went, doors opened for her. Before I continue the story, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel, Hazel Stories. Now, let's start the story. But what people admired the most was her marriage. Her husband Ron was calm, intelligent, and well-spoken. He came from a poor background, yet he carried himself with dignity. Friends often said Emma was lucky to find a man who loved her for who she was, not for her money. At least, that was what everyone believed. From the outside, their home looked warm and peaceful. A beautiful house, clean rooms, quiet nights, and soft lights glowing through the windows. The kind of place that looked safe. But inside that house, something had begun to change. Emma felt it first. It was not loud, it was not sudden, it was quiet and cold. Ron no longer smiled the same way. He still said the right words, but his eyes felt empty. His hugs were short, his touch felt distant, like he was already somewhere else. Emma told herself she was overthinking. After all, marriage changes with time, she thought. But then the questions started. Ron began asking about her property papers. He asked where they were kept, who had access to them, and what would happen if something ever happened to her. At first, Emma laughed. "Why are you thinking like this?" she asked one evening. Ron smiled softly and replied, "I just want to protect you." But something about his voice made her uncomfortable. Late at night, when Emma was asleep, Ron would sit awake on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. Sometimes she would open her eyes and see him watching her. When she asked what was wrong, he would say, "Nothing, go back to sleep." But Emma could not. A strange fear settled in her chest. One night, Emma came home early without telling Ron. She entered quietly and heard him on the phone in the next room. His voice was low, serious. "I just need a little more time," he said. "No one suspects anything." Emma stopped walking. Her heart started beating fast. She stood frozen, listening. Then Ron noticed her shadow. He turned, quickly ended the call, and smiled as if nothing happened. "Who were you talking to?" Emma asked. "Just work," Ron replied. But Emma knew something was wrong. Days passed, and the tension grew. Ron became more controlling. He wanted to know where Emma was at all times. He checked her phone. He asked her driver unnecessary questions. He didn't like her meeting friends alone anymore. One evening, Ron placed a stack of documents in front of her. "Sign these," he said calmly. Emma looked at the papers. They were related to property management and ownership. "Why?" she asked. "In case of emergency," Ron replied. "You trust me, don't you?" Emma hesitated. That hesitation annoyed Ron. For a brief second, his face changed, his eyes hardened. Then the smile returned. That moment stayed in Emma's mind. Late one night, Emma woke up suddenly. The room was dark. She felt someone watching her. Ron was sitting beside the bed, holding his phone, staring at her face. Her voice shook as she asked, "Ron, what are you doing?" He blinked, then smiled slowly. "Nothing," he said. "I was just thinking about our future." But his tone felt wrong, cold, calculated. The next morning, Emma found a small cut on her finger. She didn't remember getting hurt. Ron watched her closely as she cleaned it. "Be careful," he said. "Accidents happen." The words sent a chill down her spine. Emma began to feel unsafe in her own home. She stopped sleeping properly. She noticed cameras in places she never saw before. She noticed Ron locking doors from the outside. Still, she said nothing. She wanted proof. One afternoon, Emma overheard Ron talking again. This time, she clearly heard her name. "She doesn't suspect a thing," Ron said quietly. "Once everything is done, it will all belong to me." Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands started shaking. He was talking about her. That night, Emma locked herself in the bathroom and cried silently. The man she loved, the man she trusted, was not who he pretended to be. Her perfect life was cracking, and behind those cracks was something dark, something dangerous. Emma didn't know how or when it would happen, but one thing was clear now. Her husband was hiding something deadly, and her life was already at risk. After that night, Emma stopped trusting her own memories. She kept asking herself one question again and again. How did it start like this? To understand the danger she was in now, Emma's mind returned to the past, back to a time when Ron felt safe, kind, and real. 5 years earlier, Emma met Ron in college. They sat in the same class. Emma always arrived in a private car. Ron walked in every day wearing simple clothes and carrying old books. He never spoke unless asked, but when he did, people listened. Ron was smart. Professors respected him. Students asked him for help. Emma noticed how calm he was, how focused he stayed when others were distracted. One day, Emma dropped her notes. Ron helped her pick them up. That was their first conversation. It was small, polite, nothing special. But after that day, they started talking more. Ron helped Emma with studies. Emma helped Ron with confidence. She admired his mind. He admired her kindness. Their friendship grew slowly. Ron never asked Emma for money. He never showed jealousy toward her lifestyle. That made Emma trust him even more. When Ron talked about his life, he spoke of struggle. He came from a poor family. His parents worked hard. He wanted to change their future. Emma respected that. Over time, their friendship turned into love. Ron treated Emma gently. He listened to her. He made her laugh. He made her feel understood. When he proposed to her, Emma felt sure. Her family was not. They warned her. "He is too quiet," they said. "He knows too much about your life," they said. But Emma believed love was stronger than fear. She married Ron. The first 2 years of marriage were peaceful. Ron cooked for her, he waited for her, he thanked her for small things. He called her his blessing. People praised their relationship. But slowly, small things began to feel strange. Ron asked about her family properties. "How many lands do you own? Are they in your name? What happens if something happens to you?" Emma thought he was just curious. She trusted him. She answered. Then Ron suggested changes. He said, "It's safer if I help manage everything." He said, "People take advantage of rich women." He said, "I am your husband. I will protect you." Emma believed him. But behind her back, Ron was learning. He was watching. He was planning. Emma didn't see it then. Back in the present, Emma now noticed details she once ignored. Ron never spoke about his own dreams anymore. He only spoke about assets, documents, and ownership. He began to isolate Emma from her family. "They don't respect me," he said. "They want to control you." Emma started seeing her parents less. She became more dependent on Ron without realizing it. One evening, Emma asked Ron directly, "Do you still love me the same way?" Ron looked at her for a second too long. "Of course," he said. "Why would you ask that?" But Emma felt the distance. The warmth was gone. That night, Emma checked Ron's phone for the first time. She felt guilty doing it, but fear pushed her. She didn't find messages, but she found deleted call logs, unknown numbers, long calls made late at night. The next morning, Emma noticed Ron watching her carefully while she ate breakfast. "You look tired," he said. "You should rest more." His voice sounded caring, but his eyes were sharp. Emma realized something painful. The love she remembered might never have been real. She remembered moments when Ron pushed her to sign papers without explaining, moments when he stopped her from reading details, moments when he got angry if she asked too many questions. The puzzle pieces were slowly coming together, and the picture they formed terrified her. Emma understood one thing clearly now. Ron didn't suddenly change. He was always like this. She just didn't see it before. The man she married was not only hiding secrets, he was hiding intentions, and whatever he was planning, it was already in motion. Emma started living like a guest in her own house. She noticed it first in small ways. Ron stopped asking her how her day was. He no longer waited for her at night. He spent more time on his phone, leaving the room whenever he answered a call. When Emma entered the room, he would lock the screen quickly. "You're imagining things," she told herself, but her heart didn't believe it. Ron's tone had changed too. He spoke softly, but his words felt sharp. If Emma asked questions, he became impatient. If she disagreed, he stayed silent for hours. The man who once listened to everything now avoided her eyes. One afternoon, Emma visited her parents without telling Ron. When she returned home, Ron was waiting. "Where were you?" asked Ron. "With my family," Emma replied. Ron's face tightened. "I told you to inform me first." Emma felt something snap inside her. "I don't need permission," she said calmly. Ron stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "You're right," he said. "I just worry about you." But that night, he locked the bedroom door from the outside. Emma realized she was no longer living with a husband, she was living with a guard. Soon, Ron began controlling her schedule. He chose when she went out. He chose who could visit. He even suggested she stop working for a while. "You have enough money," he said. "Why stress yourself?" Emma understood what he really wanted. Isolation. The less she saw people, the weaker she became. One evening, Ron cooked dinner himself. He rarely did that. "Sit," he said with a smile. Emma watched him closely as he placed the plate in front of her. "Eat," he said. She noticed his hands shaking slightly. Emma pretended to eat, but she didn't swallow. She waited. Ron kept watching her. "Don't you like it?" he asked. "It's fine," she replied. She went to the bathroom minutes later and quietly made herself vomit. Her body trembled. That night she didn't sleep. The next morning, Ron was unusually kind. He apologized for his behavior, he hugged her, he promised to change. Emma felt confused. Was she wrong? But later that day, she found something that removed all doubt. In Ron's bag, she found copies of her property documents. Not just copies, updated versions, with notes written in his handwriting. Her name was slowly disappearing from them. Emma's hands shook. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought Ron could hear it. She placed everything back exactly as it was, and she smiled. From that moment, Emma understood one thing clearly. If she showed fear, she would lose. So she changed. She became quiet, obedient, calm. She let Ron believe he was in control. Inside, she was watching everything. Days later, Emma overheard Ron talking again. This time, she recorded it. "I can't rush it," Ron said into the phone. "She trusts me. Soon everything will be settled." There was a pause. Then Ron said something that froze Emma's blood. "An accident won't raise suspicion." Emma covered her mouth. Her husband was planning to kill her. That night, Emma packed a bag, but she didn't leave. She realized something important. Running would make her look guilty. Staying would give her answers. She started keeping a diary. She saved recordings. She took photos of documents. She memorized dates and names. She became careful with food, careful with drinks, careful with sleep. Ron noticed her silence. "You're different," he said one night. "I'm tired," Emma replied. He studied her face. For a moment, Emma thought he knew, but he only smiled. "Rest," he said. "We have a long future ahead." Emma felt sick. She understood the truth now. Ron's love was never real. It was a role, and the final act was coming soon. Emma stood in front of the mirror that night. She looked at her own reflection. She was scared, but she was also awake. And for the first time since her marriage, Emma made a decision, not from love, but from survival. If Ron was playing a game, she would learn the rules, and then she would change the ending. Emma stopped reacting. That was the first thing Ron noticed. She no longer argued, she no longer asked questions, she followed routines quietly, like a shadow moving through the house. Ron liked that. He believed he had finally broken her. But inside Emma's mind, something sharp and clear had formed. Truth. Emma began watching Ron the way he once watched her. She noticed the times he left the house without explanation. She noticed the same unknown number calling him every few days. She noticed how careful he became with his words. And most of all, she noticed how impatient he was becoming. Greed was pushing him. One morning, Emma pretended to be sick. She stayed in bed, weak and pale. Ron stood beside her, looking concerned. "You should see a doctor," he said. "I trust you," Emma replied softly. Those words made Ron smile. That same day, Emma secretly met a private lawyer recommended by her family, someone Ron didn't know. She told him everything: the recordings, the documents, the strange behavior. The lawyer listened quietly, then said something that made Emma's stomach drop. "Your husband has already started the legal process," he said. "He is preparing to claim everything if you die suddenly." Emma felt cold. "So it's true," she whispered. "Yes," the lawyer replied. "And if you confront him now, you could be in serious danger." Emma understood. This was no longer just suspicion, it was a plan. Back home, Ron acted normal. He brought her medicine, he cooked soup, he sat beside her bed and held her hand. But Emma noticed something different. Ron no longer touched her face. He only watched her breathe. That night, Emma pretended to sleep. She heard Ron get up quietly and walk toward the kitchen. She followed him silently and watched from the hallway. Ron was standing at the counter, holding a small bottle. He poured a few drops into a glass and stirred it slowly. Emma felt her heart stop. He carried the glass toward the bedroom. Before he entered, Emma rushed back to bed and closed her eyes. Ron sat beside her and gently lifted her head. "Drink," he said. "It will help you sleep." Emma opened her eyes slowly. She smiled weakly and said, "Later, my stomach hurts." Ron froze for half a second. Then he smiled. "Of course," he said, placing the glass on the table. Emma watched him leave the room. She didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, Emma poured the liquid into a small bottle and hid it. She knew now. Ron was ready to kill her. Instead of fear, Emma felt something else: control. She started preparing quietly. She transferred copies of all evidence to a secure place. She updated her will. She gave temporary power to a trusted lawyer. And then she made her most dangerous move. She acted weaker than ever. She told Ron she felt dizzy. She told him she couldn't think clearly. She told him she was afraid. Ron believed her. He started making mistakes. He talked more. One evening, he sat across from her and said, "If something ever happens to you, I'll take care of everything." Emma nodded. "Promise?" she asked softly. Ron smiled. "I promise." That night, Emma recorded another conversation. Ron was on the phone again. "This week," he said. "She won't last long." Emma closed her eyes. There was no doubt left. But instead of running, Emma did something unexpected. She invited Ron to dinner. She dressed beautifully, she smiled, she laughed like before. Ron looked surprised. "You look better," he said. "I feel better," Emma replied. Ron relaxed. He thought the end was close. But Emma had already contacted the police. She had shown them everything. They told her to wait, to let Ron make his move. Emma was terrified, but ready. That night, Ron prepared dinner again. He poured wine. He smiled. Emma lifted her glass. "To us," she said. Ron raised his glass. "To the future," he replied. Emma drank. Just a sip. Then she stood up suddenly. "I feel dizzy," she said. Ron watched closely. Emma collapsed onto the floor. Ron didn't rush to help. He waited. He watched. That was the moment the police entered the house. Lights flashed. Voices shouted. Ron turned pale. Emma opened her eyes and stood up. She wasn't weak. She wasn't sick. She was awake. Ron tried to speak, but the evidence was already enough. As the police handcuffed him, Ron looked at Emma in shock. "You tricked me," he whispered. Emma looked at him calmly. "No," she said. "You revealed yourself." Ron was taken away. The house fell silent. Emma sat down slowly, breathing deeply. She had survived. But the story was not over yet, because what happened in court would shock everyone. The morning after Ron's arrest felt unreal. Emma sat alone in the quiet house, holding a cup of coffee that had already gone cold. The place no longer felt like a home. Every wall reminded her of lies. Every room held memories that now felt false. But Emma didn't cry. She felt empty and alert. At the police station, Ron refused to speak at first. He kept asking for a lawyer. He kept saying it was all a misunderstanding. But misunderstandings don't come with poison. The evidence Emma provided was strong. The recordings, the documents, the hidden bottle, the phone calls, everything pointed to one truth. Ron planned everything carefully. A detective explained it to Emma slowly. "Your husband wanted it to look like an accident, sudden illness, no suspicion, full control of your property." Emma nodded quietly. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," the detective replied, "we let the court decide." The news spread fast. Friends were shocked, family members were angry, neighbors whispered. Everyone talked about the poor man who married rich, and the rich woman who almost died. Some people blamed Emma. They said she should have been careful. She trusted the wrong man. Emma heard it all. She said nothing. Ron was brought to court a week later. He looked different. The calm smile was gone, his clothes were plain, his eyes moved constantly, searching for something or someone. When he saw Emma, he froze. She walked in confidently, dressed simply, her head held high. For the first time, Ron looked afraid. Ron's lawyer tried to change the story. He said Ron loved Emma. He said the marriage was real. He said the evidence was misunderstood. But facts don't change their meaning. Emma's lawyer played the recordings in court. Ron's voice filled the room. "Once she's gone, it will all belong to me." The courtroom went silent. Ron's face turned pale. Then came the documents. Property transfers, insurance policies, timelines. Every step of Ron's plan was exposed. Emma watched quietly as the man she married slowly lost control. Ron finally spoke. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he said. "I just wanted security." The judge looked at him. "Security does not come from murder," he said firmly. During a break, Ron tried to talk to Emma. "I never wanted this," he whispered as officers stood nearby. Emma looked at him calmly. "You wanted everything," she replied. "That included my life." Ron looked down. He had no answer. The trial lasted several days. Each day, more truth came out. Ron had researched poisons. He had contacted criminals. He had planned Emma's death more than once. Every detail shocked the courtroom. The man everyone thought was quiet and intelligent was cold and calculated. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. They asked Emma questions. How did you survive? Do you hate him? Will you ever trust again? Emma answered only one question. I trusted myself, she said, and that saved my life. Ron was found guilty. He was sentenced to prison. As he was taken away, he turned back one last time. Emma didn't look at him. She had already closed that chapter. But the story didn't end there. Because after the trial, Emma made a decision that no one expected. She didn't sell the house. She didn't leave the city. She didn't hide. Instead, she stood up publicly. She spoke about betrayal. She spoke about warning signs. She spoke about trusting instincts. Her story spread. Women listened. People admired her strength. Emma wasn't just a victim anymore. She had become a voice. But deep inside, Emma knew something important. Justice had been served, but her real revenge was still not complete. And what she did next would shock everyone. After the court decision, people expected Emma to disappear. They thought she would move to another country. They thought she would sell everything and start over quietly. They thought she would live in fear forever. But Emma did the opposite. She stayed. She woke up every morning in the same house where she almost lost her life. At first, it was difficult. The walls carried memories. The silence felt heavy. Some nights she still woke up suddenly, her heart racing. But Emma refused to let fear control her. She started therapy. She rebuilt her daily routine. She learned how to feel safe again, on her own terms. Slowly, the house stopped feeling like a prison. It became a symbol of survival. Months later, Emma did something no one expected. She donated a large part of her property. People were shocked. She gave land to women's shelters. She funded legal support for victims of abuse. She created a foundation to help women recognize early signs of manipulation and control. When reporters asked her why, Emma answered calmly. This property was the reason someone wanted me dead, she said. I refused to let it control my life anymore. That statement spread everywhere. People admired her strength. Some criticized her choices. Emma didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt free. Then came the final shock. Emma visited Ron in prison. No one understood why. The guards watched as she sat across from him. Ron looked smaller now, older, broken. He couldn't meet her eyes. I didn't think you would come, Ron said quietly. I came to close this, Emma replied. Ron tried to apologize. He spoke about fear. He spoke about greed. He spoke about regret. Emma listened without emotion. Then she said something that ended everything. I forgave you, she said, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean saving you. Ron looked confused. Emma stood up and added, You wanted my life for my future. I chose to live and give that future to others. She walked out without looking back. That was the last time she ever saw him. Years passed. Emma rebuilt her identity, not as a rich woman, not as a victim, but as a survivor. She traveled. She spoke at events. She mentored young women. And slowly, she learned to love again. Not another person, but herself. One evening, while standing on a stage during a public talk, Emma said something that made the audience silent. The man who planned my death lost everything, she said, but I gained something far greater. She paused. My life. The audience stood and applauded.
Emma smiled. Her revenge was never violence. Her revenge was survival, truth, and power. And that was what shocked everyone.